The year was 2014. It was a simpler time. Ellen DeGeneres took a picture with a load of celebs in it that collectively broke the internet because, well, you know, famous people. Flappy Bird was the breakout hit of the year, which is more of a blight, do you think? Fortnite or Flappy fucking Bird? Shia the Beowulf committed to that road of being a really fucking weird performance artist parody of himself. Jay-Z had a fight with his wife's sister in an elevator. Kim K and Kanye, well, they were on the cover of Vogue at one point. Okay, look, I googled interesting things that happened in 2018 and the first result was a fucking BuzzFeed article that I took half this shit from. So it must be interesting. BuzzFeed said so. Well, perhaps more importantly to you guys and to myself, Born of the Gods was released in 2014, giving us Brimaz, the Lion King himself. And it was around this point that I decided to actually buy into a deck on MTGO instead of just playing the occasional cube game at Christmas, whilst looking longingly on as everyone else enjoyed constructed magic on demand. What deck did I build, I hear you ask? Well, I had a friend down in Bournemouth who goes by the name of Alex, or Jetpack Blues on Twitter, or Shitbitch to his friends. Love you, Alex. And he would not shut the fuck up about Thalia and Aether Vials in Modern and in Legacy. Kind of like he does now with Jund, or whatever the flavour of the week is for him in Modern and Legacy, because he's a promiscuous little slut. I also remember the time when I was playing Treasure Cruise Delver before that was banned in paper, and I cracked a fetch land and my opponent sat across from me, activated this thing called an Aether Vial, and an inconspicuous little cat cleric came out of it, and I almost threw up in my own mouth. He does what now? It's around this time that I dropped a message to Rob saying something along the lines of, I've just bought a modern deck for £50 on MTGO, want to hang out on Skype and co-pilot it with me. And well, the rest, as you might have followed over the last couple of years, 3 years I've been making content I think, is history. When I returned to Modern to take it seriously, I almost always find myself falling back with the little bears, all full of hate, trying to make everyone play by their own rules, but I don't call it Hate Bears, because Hate Bears was a deck originally designed to beat green-black block decks. No, this is a strict port of the Legacy deck, complete with a horrible Jund matchup. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Modern Death and Taxes, with a green splash, and by splash I mean we're casting Mana Dorks on turn 1 like 50% of the time, and one of our biggest Haymaker plays is actually green, so really we're not really splashing green, we are just straight green-white Death and Taxes through and through. For those of you that don't know, I'm Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. I'm handsome, I'm charming, and most of all I make semi-humorous videos of novelty Magic the Gathering decks for the amusement of strangers on the internet. When I'm not casting Bane Fires for 36 damage, summoning Demonic Minotaur, or birthing a load of bees out of my metaphorical asshole, I'm taxing people, disrupting game plans, blowing up lands, and seeking value. People have been asking for a new Death and Taxes video for a while, even going as far as to email me asking me for advice on lists for the current meta game with upcoming GPs. So Parker, thanks for the email and thanks for reaching out to me. I appreciate the love. This is the deck that I would currently play as I think it's super slick and I think it's well positioned, but take my input with a grain of salt. I am merely an above average Magic player who has captured the hearts and minds of an audience by blowing into brass instruments erotically. If you haven't seen that video where I do that, it's linked in the description below and it's in the cards now. Please go and watch it. I bought a fucking bugle for that video. My deck of choice is the aforementioned Death and Taxes, a white weenie deck that looks to make our opponents stumble through the use of disruption, such as stopping people from searching their libraries or making their spells cost more mana. We then grind people out or aggro them down by getting huge value by flickering our own and sometimes their permanents. It's been a while, but the boys and girls are back in town. Flickerwisp is the best 3-drop card in all of Magic, closely followed by Snapcaster, targeting Lightning Bolt. Not only does Flickerwisp allow us to generate virtual card advantage in the form of 3/3 golems thanks to Blade Splicer, but it also allows us to save our own permanents from removal, or even flicker an Eternal Witness for huge value, and generally be a tricksy little pixie shitbag. As many of you will know, Ghost Quarter and Lunar Arbiter, also known as the Cat Jesus, allow us to combo and strip mine people, and I can assure you when it happens, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world, akin to soft silk brushing past your ball sack, or the first fresh Jaffa cake from a Christmas yard of Jaffa cakes. That's right, in my country you can buy yards of Jaffa cakes. Rule Britannia. Fuck, I'm hungry now. The new addition to the deck is Knight of Autumn from Guilds of Ravnica, which I have to say has exceeded expectations. It has turned some very difficult matches like Merfolk into much easier romps. There's nothing like untapping with a dork and blowing up their Aether Vial in game 1 on turn 2 with main board artifact hate. Get wrecked. I actually think the card is good enough that a third in the side might be a good thing, but I'd need to test it more to figure out exactly how I want to compose the sideboard. As always, this video is brought to you by a collection of loyal supporters who help to make my commitment to this YouTube channel worthwhile in general. First, we have the Splicers, which are the largest contributors on my Patreon, who join in with group calls to brew decks and chat shit once a week. These guys and gals are an absolute asset, so thank you from the bottom of my cold, dead heart. If you want to sniff my farts and tell me I am beautiful, you too can support the channel for as little as $2 a month and join the PK Discord server. Just follow the Patreon link on screen now or in the description below. And of course, MTGO traders and Cape Fear Games continue to help make all of this content possible, lending me cards and lending me support whenever I need it and wherever I need it. I love these guys. You can use the discount code on screen to get 8% off your next PayPal order from them. Traders provide digital cards and Cape Fear provide physical cards. MTGO traders have always been the simplest and easiest site to use with great pricing and fantastic support. I used to use them a lot when I wasn't even a content creator, and I continue to use them now because they are the best. Use my discount code to support the channel and get your death and taxes staples cheaply and efficiently from them. I'm also proud to announce a new partnership and sponsor in the form of CardSphere, a great way for you to buy, sell or trade your cards peer-to-peer. It's like another trading site that shall not be named, but it doesn't base itself on some imaginary nonsense currency that's going to fuck you later. Now without further ado, it's time to collect some taxes. It's round 1 and we have turn 2 Nut of Arbiter into Strip Mine. Sometimes this will punish our opponents so hard that they won't be able to get back into the game from there. We lead with the noblest of mana dorks and they suspend a draft on common. What is that? Oh, okay. This is a competitive league, by the way. Yeah. We untap and we strip mine them. They play another basic land and suspend another Pumpy Nantuko thing. We get in for 3, miss a land drop, but resolve an 8th of ours, so we feel pretty good here. Land drop from our opponent and nothing else. A vial ticks up, we crack in for 3, make a land drop and cast a Blade Splicer. We get censored. I can't say I was expecting that, but I guess all bets are off from Mono Blue Nantuko. 3rd land drop and we see a Tempest Djinn. Okay, so it looks like they might be some form of Mono Blue Tempo or Aggro, which means this Djinn could get pretty scary pretty fast. We draw a 2nd Noble, which allows us to attack for 4 no blocks from our opponent. Path deals with the Djinn. Do not pass go. Do not collect your 3 wishes, you big blue bastard. This creature has haste because of how suspend works. Many people don't realise this, but when cards come off suspend, they gain haste forever and they get in for some damage. We draw a 2nd 8th bar, which is rarely a good thing in most matches. We attack for 4 and we get Vapor Snag, which was not expected either. It's okay though, post combat the Jesus attempts a 2nd coming, but holy tempo Batman, the cat gets remanded. Jesus. Cat Jesus. We pass the turn with a Wisp in our 8th vial. They swing and we declare no blocks, planning to flicker one of them when they go for pumps. No pumps, but instead they deploy a pair of bears. Phantasmal, illusory bears. We Wisp in order to flicker one of the bears and permanently kill it due to the illusion clause on the card. Wisp attacks for 5 in the air and we play this freshly drawn collected company, so we collect some company. We do this in main phase or as opposed to end step or in their turn for a very good reason. If we hit a Wisp plus a Splicer, the Wisp can flicker the Splicer and it will return to end step, meaning we will have 10 power blockers, 6 of which is first strike ready for their turn. If we did it at end step, the Splicer wouldn't come back till their end step. We hit Aven Mind Sensor and flicker Wisp, we simply Wisp the Phantasmal Bear away and pass. They scoop it up. In game 2 we keep a turn 2 Blade Splicer into Wisp or Coco Ham, which seems really solid. No turn 1 play from them, we lead Hierarch and they opt in response. They play a bear and pass, we make a Splicer on our turn and pass back, and on end step they snag the Golem. We take 2 from the bear and they resolve a Djinn, which is an issue as we have no easy or clean way to deal with it with the current hand. We 2nd main phase a company and hit a Sphinx from our sideboard and a Wisp to flicker our Splicer to go wider. The reason we have this Sphinx in our sideboard over say a 3rd Knight of Autumn at the moment is that it's actually better against decks like Mardu, Pyromancer and Jund, as it often gives us 2 bodies for its rate. This allows us to trade better with 1-for-1 removal and block better. The life gain isn't the main draw in these matchups. Sphinx is just a better value grindy card as much as it is an anti-aggro card compared to Knight of Autumn. Djinn goes attacking and they play a 2nd Djinn. We might actually struggle to race this if we lose our Wisp. I attack with Wisp here and then use my other Wisp to reset my Wisp and use that Wisp on returning to end step to exile a Djinn for a turn. The aim is setting up a race that we can win. We draw a Ghost Core, which is perfect as it enables the Displacer on our hand. We are in a favourable position now because of this. We get in for 5 with a Wisp and then cast the Displacer. A remand from them means we are now in a much stickier position than I first thought. We try again and there's a 2nd copy of Remand. Oh shit. They untap and Cryptic Command to tap our team and draw a card, play an island and swing for lethal. Well shit. To say that game didn't go as I expected looking at my opening hand and things is a bit of an understatement. That was a fucking hot mess. We keep a shaky hand of double Thalia and Vial. The hand does very little, but we do have a Vial on turn 1 on the play, which is good, and a Canopy to allow us to draw more cards, which is good, and a Gathering to allow our go wide strategy to be able to kill them when we're racing or trying to get around their gins. We draw a 3-drop, which is highly likely as we cut our Arbiters against this fetchless deck to bring in more high impact creatures, including every 3-drop in our sideboard. We make a Thalia and they have no turn 2 play. We are also free from Remand or Censor thanks to the cost increase from Thalia. We slam a Splicer and in response they spend 2 mana and 4 life to dismember Thalia. This is good for us. We Vial in the second Thalia and pass back to them with a board full of creatures. They play a Djinn, which is a solid blocker here. We play a Noble on attack with an Exalted Golem for 4. We can start to Gathering next turn. They are on 10. They swing with the Djinn and play a second one as a blocker. We Vial in the Knight and turn on aggro mode to make it a 4-3. Untap and draw a Thalia, which is not ideal here as we don't really want that. We want to draw a 3-drop if we can. We swing in a way where they cannot block our smaller creatures and have to block one of the bigger ones and lose a Djinn in the process. We activate Gavany and take them to 3. They're probably looking for a land drop into back-to-back cryptic commands to stand a chance here. Nope, they concede. GG Blue E. In round 2, we keep a slow hand with no turn 1 play, and they thought sees us taking away the Arbiter. We draw a Company and pass back. They play a Pyxis of Pandemonium, which I always think sounds like a Disneyland ride. There appears to be some form of Lantern control. A lot of people shit on Lantern, but I actually really enjoy playing against it with the green-white taxes in particular. I feel that we are favoured against it, for example, and now with Mainboard Knight, we should have an easier time now more than ever. We pass back, and they make an Ensnaring Bridge. We do nothing again, pass back, and they do nothing, pass back, and we flash in Avon Library Police in end step. We get in for 2 whilst the bridge is yet to ensnare us. Opal from them and a Python Needle, which names Field of Ruin. I understand that Gavany poses very little threat to an ensnaring bridge deck, but why Field of Ruin over, say, Ghost Quarter? Blue-White Control is playing Field of Ruin over Ghost Quarter now, and that seems to have poisoned the rest of the meta, and this is fine by me. We collected Company second main phase of their turn, and we hit Eternal Witness and a Noble. Noble is the arch nemesis of Lantern Control, as our noble little hoodie doesn't give a shit about no bridges. They will just cross bridges wherever they please, because they're noble, and nobles can cross bridges. Yeah. Eternal Witness gets back collected Company, which feels so fucking good, my balls begin to throb. We attack and keep up a Company for their turn again. Essentially the game plans to put a lot of power down, flicker out the bridge, and Gavany for a kill. Ancient Stirring's almost strictly better than Sleight of Hand, but it's in fucking green for some reason, finds a Lantern of Insight. With Company instead, we see a wonderfully mismatching Thalias and pick 1 Thalia and a Cat Jesus. Our next card is another Company, so they Pyxis that away, and we see a Whir on top of their deck. Whir of Invention allows them to go find bridge number 2. Well, kinda. I'll come back to that in a moment. We untap and wisp out the bridge. In short, if there's a question in any match of Magic that you are unsure if your deck has an answer to, I can assure you that Wisp will 9 times out of 10 give you the answer you need. It's like a Swiss Army knife, except it looks like your worst fucking nightmare. I really want to get a Wisp tattoo at one point because the card means so much to me, but I have to consider that the artwork is pure, unadulterated, and fucking nightmare fuel. Can you imagine what my kids would think? They're like, Daddy, why is there like a flying face hugger on your arm, you fucking weirdo? We slap in, taking them to 7 life, we deploy Displacer, who can then blink Wisp to flicker their bridge again next turn. Yeah, once Displacer and Wisp are online together, they often aren't playing by the same rules as everyone else. It's like someone walked up to you and put stabilizers on your bike in the middle of a race. The bike is a push bike though, because a motorbike would be hindered, I'd imagine, by stabilizers because of like aerodynamics. And I would also assume that you are stopped, like at a water or a pit stop, because someone is putting stabilizers on your bike mid-race. That'd be kind of distracting and fucking annoying, actually. I like Jaffa Cakes. Our opponent pays for the Arbiter Search, exile the top card of their library because it's not a bridge, and they cast the Whir with the Avon Maintenance in play and pray they can find a bridge in the top 4. They do not. This is unfortunate for them, but it's fucking great for us and everyone in the world who hates Lantern as a deck. In game 2, I draw a hand of 3 Path to Exile and realise, fuck, I was meant to take that out during sideboarding. So I mulligan and find a better hand, but I also know we have 4 dead draws in our deck, because magic is hard. Lantern from them, we leave with a tapped Temple Garden. They Stirrings, find a Mox, and don't cast it for whatever reason. Perhaps they're holding on to it to discard to the Collective Brutality that we spied on top of the deck in turn 1, thanks to the Lantern. Either way, we decide to make that Mox cost 1 more mana now with a Thalia. Got 'em. They spend 3 mana to Collective Brutality our Thalia and then just play the Mox for free. Got us. We play a Scoos and pass back. They play a Bridge. Then they Inquisition a Wisp from our hand, which is rough. Some could say they got us. We grow the Skoos and untap and make a land drop. They make a land drop as well, and then we make a land drop. They cast Rest in Peace, which only affects our single Skoos and single Return of Witness, so I'm fine with this. We draw Stirring Wildwood and see a Night of Autumn on top of the library. We can hold up Horizon Canopy to try and draw it as they attempt to make a shuffle, or we can go for the draw here and force them to pop the lantern, which basically breaks half of the lock they are assembling here. We have 4 collected companies, 2 knights and 3 more wisps to draw into, so it's not like we don't have more outs to draw to. We crack Canopy, they shuffle in response, fine, we draw Stony Silence, we cast it. This feels good as it turns off their abilities to manipulate their draws if and when they draw the other appropriate pieces of their lot. In their turn, they make a land drop, cast Stirrings, find the lantern and play it. We see another Whir on top, which isn't good for us, as 2 bridges is not impossible to beat, but it is quite literally double the effort. We draw and play a Noble. They draw Whir, but don't fire off just yet. Turns go by as they draw more lock pieces that don't function, and they will have sideboarded in some number of things like Natural State, or Abrupt Decay, or Assassin's Trophy, I'm sure of it. We draw a Wisp, which is part 1 of our plan. In the meantime, we slowly chip away at their life total with our Noble. We find Wisp number 2 lurking on top of the library. Our game plan is to set up a scenario where we can have Lethal on board, and then you can Wisp out a bridge, and then Resto Wisp the second bridge that he whirs for in the beginning of combat step. We now have 2 Wisps, but not enough of a clock. We see Path to Exile on top of our library, which is embarrassingly useful, and we see a cage on top of their library, which turns off our Cocos. We keep stabbing them slowly but surely, and see a Splicer, which will allow us to go wide, Gavney up, and then present Lethal Swing. In their turn, they draw a card, and we see the next card is Inquisition of Kozilek, which will steal away one of our Wisps and slow down our game plan considerably, so we now have to act. If we can force a Whir, it also stops them from being able to draw their Inquisition next turn. We Wisp out the bridge and go to combat. They Whir for another bridge, we attack for just 1 and see a Pyrite Spellbomb on top of their deck. We play another Splicer and decide to make them shuffle as the Spellbomb messes with the Restoration Angel plan pretty badly by being able to kill Wisps in response. We Ghost Quarter them, they shuffle and reveal another fucking Whir on top. Oh shit. They draw it, Stirrings finds them in land, and now we know they have the 3rd bridge coming. In my main phase they Whir for a 3rd bridge. Fuck my life. We attack for 2 by Gavining after combat. This was incorrect. During gameplay I just brain farted and thought there were only 2 bridges in play. There are 3, as I just chewed for the other one, but they are in different places on the screen. As you can see, there's 1 over here and 2 over here. Fuck. So now we cannot attack with our Noble, which is a punt. They play a Bauble, and on our turn we just Gavany and pass back. They draw a land and play it. We untap and find Wisp on top of our library. I Gavany again and pass back, knowing their top deck is Pixis. We finally draw the Wisp. We Wisp 1 bridge and then we Wisp the other. Finally we rest our Wisp and Wisp the 3rd bridge and crack in for lethal. No matter what bridge you hide under, Flicker Wisp will find you and it will get you and it will touch you with its fucking tentacles and shit.
Humiliation.
I'm going to skim through the details of round 3 as it was a fucking long one. Land drops are made, display set is mana leaked. They resolve a Crucible and begin to slowly but surely, when they've got the mana, Field of Ruin me off non-basics. Wisp falls victim to an opt into Path, which is pretty sad. They resolve a Teferi onto a nearly empty board, which is a really bad sign for us. Cryptic Tap protects Teferi, Oust deals with our Wisp. Hallmark with a counter on it keeps Teferi in check, in inverted commas, but the card advantage is still there, can't be ignored. They're drawing a card every turn, extra to what we are. Splicer gets countered, Night of Autumn gets Snappy countered, and we scooped up eventually to a Teferi plus a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah, we aren't winning that game. Game 2, we mulligan a no-lander into a 6 with 2 Vials. This is less than ideal, but Vial is a high-value card here, so maybe it gets us there. The problem with depending upon 2 Vials is that they play Detention Sphere almost certainly. We deploy Vials and Nobles over the first few turns, and they miss a turn 3 land drop. Oh boy. We beat them down with Noble and make a Thalia on our turn. They make a 3rd land drop. We sit pretty with a Vial on 3 and a Vial on 2, and Coco for a bit further down the line. Thalia gets Paths, which is in fact unlocks the Coco in our hand, which is kind of a result. We activate Vial on their end step and they clique us. They decide, after a long decision-making process, to get rid of the Splicer, and we make a Flicker Wisp. We drew a 2nd Coco, by the way, off the Vendilion Clique trigger. The Path and the Clique tells me we aren't expecting a verdict next turn. I attack with a Wisp, and it trades with Vendilion Clique. We end step a Company, which finds a Wisp and Skoos, and flicker out a land for a turn to deny them from playing 4 mana cards like Verdict or Jace. I forget to play a land for turn though because I am shit at this game. They miss a land drop, we go attacking. They flash in a Spell Queller to perform sort of an ambush Vipery Doomblade roll and block to kill the Wisp, and we get in for 2. We activated Violent End Step to check for more clique nonsense, but nothing. I decided to hold off on Coco as it's the only real gas I have and don't want us to fire it off into open mana. They do not have removal in hand, they do not have lands or haymakers in hand, so it must be counter magic that's like gumming up their hand here. We eat a body out of the graveyard and keep a Coco mana up at all times. We get in for 4, no removal, they untap and cast Search for Azcanta. We attack again, Snappy into opt for a chump block to conserve life, and we pass back. They untap, find a Terminus with the search and cast it, tucking our guys. We test them with a Vile activation and then with no responses go for a Coco as we need some kind of threat. It gets mana leaked. I knew it was coming, but I can't just do nothing for the turn. We get a good draw with Noble here. We fire up Wildwood and get in for 4 damage, which is a 2-turn clock with the Noble. They play a Teferi, draw a card, and then they just die. In game 3, I keep a 1-lander because I have a Death Wish. They lead tapped land, we lead Dork. They play a Stony Silence, and I praise the Cat Jesus that we didn't keep in a 1-lander with a Vial here. We play Cat Jesus, they play a land. In our turn, they opt, trying to hit Terminus, but they fail. We attack for 3, and then we play a Vial and a Noble. They make a land drop and do nothing. I attack again, and then play a Blade Spicer. They cast Hieroglyphic Illuminations in order to dig deeper into their deck. A Wrath would be super bad for us, but it just doesn't come. We untap and go to attack. They crick a fetch land without paying for the Jesus. Whoopsie. We get tapped down by Cryptic though. We play a land, shock ourselves, and block the Stony with a Knight of Autumn. They indulge in some timely reinforcements, which potentially buys in 3 to 4 turns of life and blockers. We offer up the Cat and the Golem. They double block the Cat as expected. But like I've said before on the channel, all good religious figures come in pairs. Just look at the Cheeky Girls, the Chuckle Brothers, the twins from Pat Sharp's Funhouse. Did you know the twins released an album called A Twin Thing? Apparently it did well in Japan. Apparently. And then they logic knotted the Cat. Oh, fuck you, man. Fuck you and your knots. Detention Sphere deals with our Vial, kinda. We Vial and a Wisp in response and flicker Knight of Autumn to end of turn. We draw a card of Canopy and Sphere gets blown up by an end step Knight from the Flicker Wisp, return clause. We get Vial back to allow us to deploy the threats at instant speed after a board wipe if one comes. We smash him for 9 and then Terminus rears its ugly head. We lose everything and then deploy a Splicer. They field a Ruin our Ghost Quarter while we're tapped out so they can block with Colonnade later. We deploy a Noble attack, they activate Colonnade and we look to flicker it out with a Wisp in order to secure the kill. They tap the Colonnade and path our Golem to survive one more turn. We cast Rest in Peace to turn off Snappies. Same rodeo all over again. We attack, they activate the Colonnade, we activate Vial and flicker it and they concede. GG, well played. Okay, in round 4 we keep an okay hand with no turn 1 play. Spire, Bauble, Inquisition, take Knight. It's another Lantern match. Are you fucking kidding me? Needle names Displacer and we just deploy threats to the board. We make sure we blow up Inventor's Fair to minimise the chance of them shooting for a bridge. They just draw one anyway because, you know, better lucky than good. We play a Noble, get in for 3 with Thalia. Stirring finds a spell bomb to allow them to kill our beloved Noble. We get in for 3 more and Eternal Witness our Knight back to hand. They Inquisition our Knight again? Fucking hell. Fire. They spellbomb one Noble. We path it in response to thin our deck of lands as path is useless otherwise. We get in for 1 damage. That's a 3-turn clock, baby. We field a Ruin to thin our deck further and past them they play a land. We untap, play a Cat and attack for 1-turn clock. Let's go. They scoop. Must have been 2 lands or perhaps even Thoughtseizers in hand. In game 2, Inquisition takes our Knight again, which is, you know, a 3 out of 3 hit rate with Inquisition targeting Knight. That ain't half bad for them, really. We lead Noble, they play Lantern, we draw a Ghost Quarter, cast the Jesus, and strip mine their Glimmer Void. Feels good. They hit another land drop a turn late and see Ghost Quarter on top of our deck, so they Python Needle, Ghost Quarter. We attack for 4 on the turn, and they eventually use Assassin's Trophy.
This card's a Tron killer.
To kill a Noble, I pay for the armor attacks to thin my deck further. And another YouTuber once said Assassin's Trophy is so bad. It gave me a land, guys, and in Modern, what if someone did something degenerate with that land, like cast a Hollow one or 3 on turn 2, or maybe a 1-mana burn spell that they could have cast anyway. Imagine it. Assassin's Trophy is just so bad, just like Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares are. But seriously, Desolator Magic has literally no idea what he's fucking talking about. Please do not listen to him for advice or strategy. Actually, don't listen to him full stop. He's just a toxic crybaby. I continue to beat down, eventually they find a word, but because of Arbiter, they can't pay for the cost of getting through him and the coloured banner requirement for the word just yet. They need 1 more land land drop. We beat them down to 3 life. They untap, play a land, pay for an Arbiter, and go searching. I flash in Restoration Angel, flicker Arbiter, and reset him as a new game object. This means they have to pay again. They cannot pay again. They cannot search. They are dead. Nobody
fucks with the Jesus.
We lead a Vial of Forest, they play a fetch land. They F6 and we resolve Cat Jesus. There is a long pause here. I genuinely start laughing to myself because it's just funny, and I couldn't believe this had happened in round 5 of a comp league as well. I felt a little bit sorry for our opponent. They soon realised the errors of their way. They also seem to know who I am, which just makes it all the funnier. Sorry buddy, welcome to your 15 minutes of fame. Take a bow. They scuba it up. Street Wraith and a fetch land probably means Hollow One, but it could be Death Shadow or Vengevine, so I'm not quite sure how I should sideboard here. So in short, it's a fucking mess. We keep a turn 2 Strip Mine hand, which feels pretty good. Good enough to gesticulate a chef's kiss into the air, like mwah. They lead with Flame Weaver shit tits. We play a noble. Then the last thing we wanted to happen happens. Faithless, Faithless, Hollow One, Hollow One, Hollow fucking One. 12 power of permanent bodies and 5 damage of menace creature on turn 2. Oh man.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
Even our opponent kindly points out they are mighty glad that Stoneforge Mystic is banned in Modern, because heaven forbid the card was fucking legal in a word of this degenerate horse shit. Whoa, up and through. Oh, let's keep the Stoneforge Mystic banned in Modern. I wonder if John's going to hate this more or less than the other jingle. Double path draw and a wisp keeps us in the game, but we 100% need to draw back-to-back solid collected companies to compete, and we just don't. I don't want to rant too much, and this is no slight on my opponent. He was cool and fun to play with, and we had a good chat, but how is this deck okay? What does this do for the format? What does it bring to Modern that we think should be in Modern? Now, we had this discussion on my Discord recently. I understand that fast decks help to keep the dirty mid-range and control decks in check to an extent, but Burn, 8-Whack, Dredge, Affinity, Vengevine, there are so many fast aggressive decks that do that. This is just variance and hyperlinear nonsense deck. The counterplay is actually difficult as well because, for example, a Rest in Peace doesn't do anything against the triple Hollow One draw, whilst it is good against the Bloodghast and the Phoenix draws. It's easily my least favourite deck in the format, simply because if this kind of shit is allowed to exist, what the fuck is the logic in keeping Twin banned? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Game 3 we have double Knight of Autumn, which is actually pretty good against the Hollow One draws. Oh whoops, there's a double Flameblade cunt face draw. Fuck these menacing little shit rags. We play a Mirren Crusader, which allows us to profitably first strike double block and a depth down every turn. Of course, here's the fetch land and a Fatal Push and a bolt on my Mirren. Wowzer. We have a good chat about how degenerate the deck is on the whole, and I die to a second menace attacker when I finally have 2 blockers for the first one. This last round did not go my way in the slightest. So no trophy this time. The next league I played was also a 4-1, and I've also done a 2-3 and a couple of wins in the 1v1 queues. I do think this list is tight. Trophy is close. I'm going to try and get one in the next month or so. Ultimately, I'm happy with where the deck is in the moment, although I cut the Gideon from the side and made space for 2 copies of Settle the Wreckage because they're good against all this sort of degenerate aggro shit. Worship has been pretty meh as of late. Too much control and mid-range decks that can actually just kill all your stuff anyway, so I hardly find myself ever bringing it in. I think Knight really helps to give some flexible versatility to the main board, and I'm tempted to test a non-vial version that cuts down on Wisps too to play more toolbox mainboard cards and a slightly more aggressive slant towards curving out, but that is a different deck for a different time. So what do you guys think? Did you like this iteration of Green, White, Death and Taxes, or are you all still insane and prefer the Black, White Eldrazi version because it's the one that some pillock on Reddit told you is better? If you have ideas of how to improve the deck or what I should play next on the channel, comment in the comment section below. Please do not forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel grow. Share the video with your friends, and if you're feeling particularly spicy, become a patron over at patreon.com/PleasantKenobi and come hang out on our Discord. I stream every Monday at 7 PM BST when I'm not ill and pissing water out of my shithole, and I upload a gameplay video almost every week. In the meantime, stay safe, be good to one another, and don't be sad if you can't grow a beard like mine. It took a zen-like concentration and countless hours of self-congratulatory masturbation to cultivate this thick sheen. Oh, yes. I have been Vince. Thank you for watching, it means a lot to me, and ta-ta for now.